Mommy, why does everybody have a bomb?
From the very first song, as we found out.
Yes, 1999. The song. From
There
the
was
album,
also
1999.
That's right.
From
there was also
1982. Sorry.
No, you're okay. No,
I think I'm going to leave that in.
You should leave that in. That's very funny. And you should leave in the part where we're talking about leaving it in too. We could have had two openings for this episode. The one from the album, and we could have opened with Nobody Puts Brandon in the Corner.
Which I also like.
Yeah.
That should be my mantra.
That should be your mantra. If anyone ever tries anything, you should just be like, nobody put Brandon in the corner. Or you need to get someone else to say that.
That's true.
Because Baby doesn't say it.
I want to know why she was called Baby, personally.
I could see it being the dad just like, oh, this is my baby girl or something.
This is my baby girl.
This is my baby girl. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Well, I will say I do have a little background info about the name Baby. Not why she's called that, but where that came from. So
cool. Just like Baby from last week.
Well, hello there, baby. David, as usual, joined by Brandon, or as he's called in this recording, Uncultured Pop Culture. I just noticed that.
Yes. I am in charge, I guess.
Before we start talking, there are some housekeeping things I gotta do. I have to apologize to our dear viewers. I made a mistake last episode. I said that Billy Wilder directed 12 Angry Men. He did not. That was, what the hell is his name? Sorry.
Wait, you don't even know who you're apologizing to.
I forgot his name.
Is he alive?
He is not. He's dead. He'd be dead.
Oh, R.I.P.
What the fuck is this guy? Oh my god. Sydney, what the hell is this? Okay, we got it. Last episode, I said that Billy Wilder directed 12 Angry Men. He did not. It was Sidney Lumet. So I am sorry, Sydney. I mixed y'all up because you guys were two guys in the 50s. So sorry. Also, I did say Jason Alexander instead of Jason Miller one time in our Exorcist episode, but we'll put that to the side.
I like how the only piece of information you need is that they're two guys from the 50s, and that's the reason you can
you can
mix
literally
them up.
The only reason.
It's just like, that's it. Nobody knows anything about the 50s.
I mean, I will say they directed kind of similar films sometimes, like
you don't even know any other films that he's done.
No, I mean, I do.
It's
I
fine.
do, but yeah. But in any case, I apologize.
But that brings us to my question for you, which is also a question that you can answer in a different way, which is who directed the movie that you saw this past week? Because I know what movie you saw this past week.
I saw a film that was directed by James Gunn because I saw Superman in theaters, which is always fun. That being said, the movie was just It was okay. It was your typical superhero movie, which for me, who doesn't really like superhero movies, means that it was just very blah. I didn't really care about it. So,
and what do you think this means for the war between Israel and Palestine?
I mean, okay, I already told you this before, but there is this conflict in the movie, but it's kind of weird because the aggressing nation is obviously based off of Russia. Like the president has an obviously Slavic accent, but then they also even have the, onion-shaped church in one shot. So it's obviously Russia, but then the people that are being attacked are obviously based off of Palestine.
Because they're brown?
Because it's in a desert and they are brown. Sorry, but that's yeah. It's interesting how it's James Gunn was kind of I'm going to take one from one conflict and the other from the other conflict and mesh them together.
And cause everybody to melt down.
Yes, which is crazy considering that people are saying that this is woke because it doesn't want children to die and stuff like that. Which that's where we're at, guys.
And what do you think this means for the future of Warner Brothers and the DC universe? Because I think this is the first film that they're trying to relaunch it with, right?
This is. I mean, it's doing okay financially because it's doing good here, but it's doing bad overseas. I think it's going to make enough money for them to be like, okay, we're going to continue. I don't think it's going to make a bunch of money. It's not going to get $1 million or billion. Sorry, it already has $1 million.
Not going to get $1 million. Wow, failure.
50 cents. It got 50 cents. But no, it's going to do solid. Honestly, I'm kind of like, will the next movie do bad? Because I think it's a Supergirl movie, which is like, who cares about Supergirl, really? I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I'm just saying that, like, I don't think that there are as many fans of her.
Thinking from a purely getting in touch with my reactionary Midwestern surroundings. Oh my God, they made a woke movie about Israel. Now they're making a woke movie about a woman.
How dare they? Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how it goes, exactly. But now I got to ask you, what did you listen to this week?
Swag. Justin Bieber's new album.
By Justin B.
Yeah, Justin B. Swag. We're going back to 2011 where he said, swag, swag on you. Shout out Boyfriend. That's that song. And shout out Mike Posner and Black Bear who wrote it.
Did he claim that he wrote it though?
Right, exactly. That's a perfect segue. He probably did get songwriting credit on it because apparently he gets songwriting credit on every single thing he writes, which he doesn't even write.
That's
I
crazy.
guess single thing he performs, he gets songwriting credit on because he doesn't write as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So the same is on this album. He also gets production credit on a few songs, which who knows if that's real? Probably not.
I'm just imagining like Justin Bieber like hunched over Pro Tools trying to figure stuff out now.
Justin Bieber?
Yes, and I will not apologize for that.
Okay, well, I will apologize in your behalf. Justin Bieber.
Who cares?
I care. That's
Everyone
his
does
name.
that.
I don't do it. That's his name.
Okay, sorry, Justin.
Wow,
Sorry.
you're intentionally mispronouncing the name of a foreign musician. He's from Canada.
It wasn't intentional.
I forgive you.
And also, I'm considering him to be of the same nationality as me because I want to be Canadian.
That's fair, yeah.
Rather than being an American right
You're going to
now.
also have to apologize to Hailey Bieber, who I don't even know what she's on right now. But whatever. I don't want to really talk about their relationship
Yeah,
because
that's a lot to get into.
he apparently talks about it enough in these very personal songs that he wrote on this album. Sorry, I sound bitter. The album is fine. It's really nothing like revolutionary or like that special. And it just kind of sounds like background music, which is what everybody agrees with. Some people just like it because it sounds like background music, but I don't really care because it sounds like background music. But I don't know. He says he has another album coming out in like 2 months, so we'll see if that happens or not.
That's a short turnaround.
Yeah, very much, yes.
Would you say that him making music like this is the reason why he kind of it seems like he isn't really in like the center and like the eye of pop culture now, for a lack of a better way of saying it? Because he's kind of faded, right? Like nobody talks about him that much aside from his controversies.
Right, and that's kind of what I was going to say is I feel like he's more of a media figure than a musician.
Yeah.
And he also like released an awful album in 2020 and then released a follow-up right after it, which was better received, but still not that great. And then kind of dipped out of the spotlight for almost 5 years. Like, I don't know. It's not like, I'm not like super invested in him. I do think he's interesting because he's a very good singer, obviously, but he's kind of got to fix some of the like media issues, image issues, I guess.
Which, I mean, I can't imagine how, being that famous and that in the public eye at such a young age, like I don't imagine that helped.
And being Canadian on top of all of it.
Yeah, just like me, who is also an Armenian Canadian guy.
Yeah, although I would like to say that I have more of a claim to being Canadian because whenever I edit, I hear myself saying out and house like a Canadian.
Well, you don't say a boat, so.
I did the last episode I edited once, but you got to listen for it.
I take it back.
I'm listening for it. But I also want to say that I would like to start saying something I did like every week. So
shout out to your sister who gave you the idea.
Exactly, yes. This song that I've been listening to a lot is called Music by Underscores. And it is definitely not for everybody. It is a mix of kind of hyperpop and some amounts of electronic music, but it's very good, and I've been listening to that a lot. So shout out Underscores.
We'll have to listen to them soon.
But with that,
let's go back to the 80s.
Or 1999, if you prefer.
1999 by route of the 80s, I guess.
1999 by Prince. Released October 27th, 1982 by Warner Brothers Records. All songs on this album are written and produced by Prince Rogers Nelson,
Also known as the artist, also known as Prince.
artist formerly known as Prince,
Sorry, formerly known.
and Symbols, of course.
I feel like all the Midwesterners are going to kill me over messing up.
I don't know. I think I don't really know what his fan base is. I think it's probably Gen Xers are going to kill you over
Yeah,
it.
I guess.
Because I think it's probably our parents' age is the target demographic for Prince.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about the other credits on this album since Prince wrote and produced everything himself.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to shout out the engineers and mixing and mastering done on this album. Don Batts engineered 3 tracks. Mixing and engineering was done by David Leonard and Peggy McCreary. And the mastering was done by Bernie Grunman for A&M Records. And then I'd also like to shout out the Linn drum, which I know I've brought up before. It's kind of that sound of the 80s. I believe Daft Punk used it a lot, if I'm recalling the episode correctly, but I know I've also brought it up multiple other times because this is a very popular drum sound.
Yeah. At least like twice.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too.
Yeah. Something like that.
When I used to listen to podcasts like regularly, I would think, how do you not remember what happened week to week on your podcast? That's your podcast. I don't remember even what the album or movie is that we did last week is sometimes. It'll just leave my mind. So I get it now.
I mean, I don't even remember. Sometimes I will write the notes for what we're going to discuss in like 3 days. And then on the day, I'm like, wait a second, what are we talking about again? So there we go. That's the life of podcasting.
There are 5 singles from this album.
Ooh.
The first single is 1999 with the B-side, How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore, which is not on the album.
I wonder if that was common.
I saw it up until like the mid 2000s, kind of when singles stopped mattering. Like even on iTunes, sometimes you'd get like an extra one, but then
Right.
a lot of the times you'd be like paying individually for each song. So then it was just like, well, no, we'll just put one single out there. So that song was released on September 24th, 1982. And it originally peaked at number 44 on the Hot 100, but it was re-released in 1983 when it peaked at number 12. It performed much better when it was re-released. I don't know entirely why it was re-released, but it was. Second single was Little Red Corvette, which had the B-side All the Critics Love You in New York, which is on the album.
Right.
And we will be talking about it. This song was released in February 1983. It peaked at number 6 on the Hot 100, which was his highest charting song at the time and the highest charting one from this album.
The highest charting wasn't 1999?
No, surprisingly, even though that's the one that people remember more now.
That's what I was going to say, because I feel like that's, the big song from this album.
It definitely has the most streams, and it's the one that I feel like people are going to associate with it. It's also the title track and the first track. So,
Yeah.
But when I was listening to it, I thought, oh yeah, I do know 1999, but the one I knew was Little Red Corvette, weirdly. Third single was Delirious, released in August of 1983, and it peaked at number 8 on the Hot 100. It had the B-side Horny Toad, which is also not on the album.
I love that title. That's perfect.
Yeah. Automatic was the fourth single. It was only in Australia, and had the B-side Something in the Water, Does Not Compute, which is on the album. And then the fifth and final single, Let's Pretend We're Married, released with the B-side Irresistible Bitch, which is also not on the album. In November of 1983, this one peaked at number 55 on the Hot 100. So not as memorable, I guess.
Before we get into it, I do want to say, I want to give props to Prince for his titles, because, no matter what you think, you got to give it to him for some crazy and very inventive titles.
Shout out Irresistible Bitch specifically.
Yes. That and Horny Toad.
Horny Toad, yeah, you do like that one.
Yeah. I really like that one. That's very funny.
1999, the album, peaked at number 9 on the Billboard 200 in the United States, and it was also certified quadruple platinum. So this was a success, I would say.
That's really good, especially considering it was the 80s. Like,
Yeah.
there were less people.
And I do, well, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
I don't know if quadruple platinum was on the release, like within a certain amount of years, or if it's kind of built up over time. But either way, that speaks to kind of the success of this album.
Yes.
I guess we should get into the tracks, because that's all I have for background.
Let's do it.
Track number 1, 1999. We got backing vocals by Lisa Coleman, Des Dickerson, Jesse Johnson, and Jill Jones, and electronic production by Bobby Z. I do not know what that means, but shout out to Bobby Z.
That's the perfect name for someone that works in electronic production. Bobby Z.
I agree. I think this is a fun and funky album opener. It's a good way to ease the album, ease into the album. And I think it's one of the most accessible songs on the album. I can definitely see why this is the lead single.
100%.
I also wrote down, Mommy, Why Does Everybody Have a Bomb? Because, of course. I'm going to finish off my notes before I give you my score with something that's going to come up across the album, which is I think this song goes on longer than it needs to. And I don't know if you're going to feel this way about some of the songs because we do have some 8 and 9 minute long bangers on here.
Yeah.
But this song is a 2.5. I think it's good, but ultimately it did not really do that much for me. And it's also too long.
Yeah.
So what did you think?
Let me start my notes by saying that I agree. And that was very much a common theme for my notes throughout this album. I honestly I think it's like a trend now or not a trend, but I feel like it's coming up more and more where older albums just had longer songs.
Yes, that's always been a thing is once like the 60s, 50s and 60s, we had like sub 2 minute long songs. Then we were getting up into like 2.5, 70s, 80s, and even somewhat into the 90s. We were the longest songs ever were. There were like number one songs that were over 5 minutes long. And then we kind of settled back into like 3:30, 3 minutes. And now we're back into sub 3 minutes. So it's just, it's a cycle, and we'll come back to having probably a 7 minute long number one at some point.
Oh gosh. Can't wait for that. But okay, to get into my notes, when I put on the song, I was taken aback because it was not at all what I thought it would sound like. And for reference, the only song of Prince, the only song out of Prince's catalog that I heard before I listened to this album was Purple Rain, which I would say is arguably more of a traditional pop song. And that's kind of what I was expecting. Something like a 80s pop / R&B song when I started this album. I feel like this is very different.
Funky.
It's very, very funky. It's also very 80s, very electronic.
Yes, very 80s.
Yes. And I did think it was fun. I'm also happy that you mentioned who the singers were because I was wondering. That being said, I am in agreement that it's a solid song, but I don't think it clicked for me. And that's honestly something I've seen online where a lot of people say that when you listen to Prince, you have to listen to his music a lot until it clicks. But it didn't really click for me. It is a 3. I still think it's fun. It's funky. It's enjoyable. But it didn't click for sure.
I get that. I did not do any research about kind of how to get Prince's music, I guess.
Yeah.
I know I've talked about specifically with 100 Gex, who I love to bring up, that you have to listen to it quite a few times before it makes sense to you.
Yeah.
And I think that, I'm just going to say it right away. The more I listened to this album, the less I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of the opposite of that.
I kind of agree.
And I mean both as the album goes on and then the amount of times I listen to the album in full. I find it harder because I think that sometimes you have to just there will be something you either get or you don't right away that you can latch onto and then kind of use that to pull yourself into the rest of the album.
That's true.
For the rest of the song. And for me, a lot of the time that wasn't there. But I guess I'm kind of getting ahead of myself.
And I guess I did also kind of get ahead of myself because we'll talk about this at the end. But let's leave it for the end.
Sounds good. Track number 2 is Little Red Corvette. We got backing vocals by Lisa Coleman and Des Dickerson. And Des Dickerson also had a guitar solo on here, which is rated among the top 100 guitar solos of all time, which I think is quite cool.
That's cool.
So shout out to The Revolution, which is his band. They're not officially credited here. Then it becomes Prince and The Revolution later. But I think this song is more musically interesting than 1999. And I said the same thing I did about 1999, that it's a good song, but it doesn't do anything for me. So this song is ultimately a 2.5 as well.
I agree that I think this one works for me a little bit more than 1999. It's very synthy, very, very 80s.
Yes.
Ultimately, though, I did kind of come away with the same feeling that I came away from 1999 with, which is it's just fine, which, gave it a 3. Kind of not the same scores, but we're kind of mirroring each other right now.
Track number 3 is Delirious. We have backing vocals by Lisa Coleman on this one. I think this song is well written and it's pretty well produced as well. But once again, I feel like there is something missing. Mm-hmm. And this song is 4 minutes long. And I think it could have ended after 3 and it would probably be a better song
I could see that.
because this is kind of the beginning of where it starts to be like, okay, some of these songs are a little too long. This one isn't even that long. It just kind of feels like it after a while because it's so unchanging.
Yeah.
As well, why is there a baby at the end of this? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that this is probably my favorite song on the album.
Oh.
It's been stuck in my head constantly. Oh, yeah, it's starting to like get on my nerves now because it's so catchy. But this one is also a 2.5. And as you can see, that 2.5 is my favorite song. We do not get any higher than that.
It's only downhill from here.
Not entirely downhill, but yes.
I will say, starting with Delirious, there was a little run where I was like, maybe this is starting to work for me. Not to ruin it, it didn't ultimately pan out like that, but this is where that little run begins because I do prefer this to the first 2 songs. Again, I think it's a fun song. It's quite simple, but I kind of like that. And it also feels pretty quirky, which I think adds something to it.
I agree.
Yeah, it bumped up to 3.5, so I did enjoy it more.
Nice.
It's still, it's still not something that like captivated me. But 3.5 for me it's good, but it has problems. And those problems include the length and, the fact that ultimately it's like, okay, yeah, this is fun, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna have listen to this on repeat or anything like that.
Yeah.
So 3.5 for me.
Is that the highest you go on the album?
Yes. That being said, there was a song where it got close to a 4.
Okay, nice.
Not to spoil it.
That could be the next song because you said we have a little run going on, which is
Who knows?
number 4, Let's Pretend We're Married. This one is just Prince. He did everything on this. He played all the instruments. He recorded everything. So shout out to him.
I will say he is known for, and that's one of the reasons why he is seen as ahead of his time.
Ooey sha sha cuckoo, yeah. I think this I think this is probably the best produced song on the album. And this was my favorite upon first listen. And all the hippies sing together, obviously.
Exactly.
And then I wrote, are we just making songs long as hell because we can? There's no reason for this to be more than 4 minutes long.
Yep.
And I think it's actually starting to connect with me less and is getting on my nerves now.
Yeah.
So this song was originally a 3 on first listen. It is now a 2 because of its length and the fact that I was just starting to get pissed off with it.
Yeah.
Which is a theme that will come back
Oh, yeah.
on a few other songs.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, is this your favorite?
I completely agree because this is definitely too long. Now, I will say this is not my favorite, but I did think it was stronger than the opening songs. And I did think it was stronger than Delirious. I did enjoy it. I did like it. And I did actually write, I understand now why people call Prince ahead of his time, even if it isn't fully for me.
Yeah.
I feel like you can kind of see it because he did do everything on this song. I also did want to say that, damn, does he have a voice?
Yeah.
Ultimately, this is still a 3.5. I think, like I said, I did enjoy it, but it is definitely too long. Just like you, that is something that came up for me a lot in this album. So there's that. What can I say? It's a 3.5 for me.
What can you say? This album is 11 songs long and it is 70 minutes, which is also an insane runtime.
Oh,
And I looked at that and I was like, whoa, what are we doing? There's got to be something cool going on here. And unfortunately, not to spoil it, I don't think there was. Track number 5, though, is DMSR. Backing vocals and claps by Lisa Coleman, Des Dickerson, Bobby Z, Brown Mark, The Count, Peggy McCreary, Jamie Shoup, Carol McGovney, and Poochie.
Poochie.
Hell yeah.
I just love that name.
I related to this song because he told the white people to clap their hands, and I did. I think this song is funky and groovy, and I'm not mad at it. It just doesn't do anything for me. And then I also wrote, why the hell is this over 8 minutes long?
Yeah.
I agree with you that this run, I don't know how many songs long your run is, but I think 3, 4, and 5 were kind of the high part of the album. And I would like Let's Pretend We're Married if it was half the length that it was.
Yeah.
And I did like it more. So this is another one where it's like I can see the vision a little bit more. And I think it's catchy song. It's kind of fun, but it's just so damn long.
Yeah.
And I just got fed up with it because I can't do any more than 2.5 because it's like I'm probably never going to listen to this again because of the length of it.
Yeah.
So I know I sound very negative. I do think Prince is a legend. I think he was gone too soon. I think that he's obviously very talented, but this is just really not doing anything for me. And I think that, and I'm okay admitting that, like I can see that there are great musicians that I don't connect with. I mean, that's happened before.
Yeah.
But so this is not me like hating on Prince or telling everyone that this is bad music. If you enjoy it, good for you. I'm glad you do. I unfortunately do not. So, but what did you think of DMSR?
I'm completely in agreement. I do want to say, first of all, that yes, I also think that, the strong run of this album is 3, 4, and 5. And this is my favorite song.
Oh, nice.
On the whole album. Yeah.
I can see that.
That being said, it's definitely too long. To the point where, when I started the song, when I gone part of the way through it, I was like, okay, I think this is a 4. But then it just kept on going and going and going.
Yeah.
Which brought it down to a 3.5. That being said, I still, I like the first half of this song a lot. I think it's very fun. There's a lot of sex. Who doesn't love that,
Yeah, true.
But ultimately, it just goes on for far too long. So what can I say? It's a 3.5 for me.
Talk about a song that goes on for too long. Track number 6, Automatic.
Yep.
Backing vocals by Lisa Coleman and Jill Jones. And Jones also provides claps. Now, I'm going to do a little fun thing here. I got a few notes that I'm just going to run through in order without saying anything else in between. I felt my stomach drop re-listening to this song because it's 9.5 minutes and unchanging. 3 minutes in, I'm fully done. Minute 5, I'm scrolling Instagram Reels. Minute 6, we are preparing for takeoff and getting tortured. Minute 7, there are women crying and moaning, and still 2 fucking minutes left. In all caps, I wrote. Minute 8, it's the same unchanging beat. It is really driving me insane now. I'm sorry, Prince fans, I cannot do this.
Yep.
Minute 9, how do I even rate this? I ended up giving it a 1.5 because I do think that there's a good song in here. But, oh my God.
Yeah.
Talk about self-indulgent.
I love that breakdown. I love your notes in succession because I completely agree.
Also, I would like to say I was accidentally on Instagram Reels. I didn't even try to do that. I just opened up my phone and I saw a reel that somebody sent me and then I just kept scrolling. I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be paying attention to this song right now.
I mean, this is, I feel like an example of a song where that can happen very easily because it is so long and it is very repetitive. Yeah, it did not work for me. It's a 2.5. If I re-listen to it, it'll probably go down because I feel like this is the song that goes down with re-listens.
Yeah.
So I could totally see that.
This is a 2.5 on the first time for me.
So it just doesn't work. It goes on for far too long. It should have been like a 2-minute song at the longest, in my opinion. And even then, might have been a little bit too long. I don't know.
Track number 7, Something in the Water, does not compute. This one is also solely written, produced, and performed by Prince. Why do special women make me cry? That's the realest thing he said on the album, in my opinion. He also has a sick-ass scream on this.
He does.
Also, this song is 4 minutes and suffers the same fate as many other songs, and that even feels too long for it.
Yeah.
So I really could not give this over a 2 because I don't really care for this song that much. Like, if it didn't feel long, it would probably be a 2.5, but because it feels long and I just sat through Automatic and I'm kind of angry at this point, I was like, nah, this is a 2.
I wrote down 2 notes. I wrote down interesting drumming and don't have much to say. It's an interesting song that just doesn't catch my attention. It's a 3. I barely remember the song.
What's the lowest you go on this album?
2.5, I will say.
Okay.
And I will speak as to why at the end of the album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Track number 8 is Free. Backing vocals by Lisa Coleman, Jill Jones, Wendy Melvin, and Vanity. This song is basically everything I hate about 80s music encapsulated into one song. It has annoying vocals, a weird energy of a song saving the world. It's kind of preachy, and I don't know what kind of ballad/anthem thing is going on here, but this is why I say that I don't like 80s music. But the piano at the end is nice. So it won't be a 1, it's a 1.5. But I don't like this song.
To me, it felt like a more tender song than a lot of the other songs on the album. Kind of like a love song, which I thought was interesting. You know, it's definitely different than some of the songs that preceded it. Ultimately, my reaction was just and that's why I gave it a 3. Very consistent here, I will say.
Track number 9, Lady Cab Driver. The only credit besides Prince is Moans by Jill Jones. This is a musically great song, but I could go without 6 minutes of it.
Yep.
And I could also go without the moans, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
This one is a 2. It is an improvement from Free, but I still don't really care for this.
I completely agree because I actually really, really like the production on this song. I think it's like some of my favorite production out of the whole album. That being said, I really didn't like the moans. I didn't really need the back and forth parts either. You know, I feel like those took away from it. If the production wasn't as good as it is, it would be a 2.5. But the production kind of bumps it up so to where it like gets over the finish line of being at a 3. So there we go.
I agree with that because this one was hard to sit through at times.
It's like at times you're like, oh, wait, will I actually like this? And then 5 seconds later, you're like, wait, what? No, please no. Yeah.
That is exactly how I felt because I was like, I was vibing to it at first.
Yeah,
and then
same.
like after 2 minutes, it was kind of like, oh, okay, never mind. I can't put this on at the party.
Which I will say is always such a letdown for me when that happens with a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Track number 10, All the Critics Love You in New York. Just the letter U. That's a Prince thing. This one, solely performed by Prince as well.
Right.
He's definitely masturbating.
Guys are going to do what guys do.
I looked up the lyrics because I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what was just said. And it was. So that is either our 3rd or 4th reference to masturbation in like 21 episodes of the podcast.
We have had a lot of
We're doing really good.
masturbation. Heck, we can get even higher. Let's have 2 songs that include masturbation in an episode.
Let's do
it.
Let's do that. I'm going to make sure we do that.
That's right.
But I have one note besides that, which is this song does nothing for me, is incredibly boring and too long. 1.5.
First of all, I think the spoken word is interesting. And I'm not someone that typically likes spoken word when it comes to music. You know, I like singing. Like I prefer that. But what's interesting is that this worked a little bit better for me.
Oh, he broke the trend.
That's right. It's at a 3.5. I feel like for some weird reason, it just worked better. Maybe because there wasn't loud moaning or something. Maybe because they mentioned masturbation. I don't know. Anyways.
Any song that mentions masturbating deserves an extra 0.5 immediately.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Cool. I think you have to go back and bump up All Time Low by John Bellion at least by 0.5 for that because I'm pretty sure you had that at a 2.5. So
yeah, so that's going to be a 3 now.
yeah, just for everyone keeping score at home. We have one last track on here, which is International Lover. There's only one credit on here. The drums are by Morris Day. And I have 3 words to say about this song. I can't even. This is a 0.5. This is one of the worst things I've ever heard. I could I could barely sit through it the first time. And when I listened to this album again, I just ended with All the Critics Love You in New York because I could not do this song anymore. It was so annoying. So this is the lowest score I've ever given anything on the podcast before.
Yeah.
I even went back and checked, which is I went through every single rating that I've ever given because I was like, is this the lowest thing I've ever done? And yes, it is.
Yeah.
This was a huge letdown for the album as a whole, but then also just kind of as the last thing, I was just like, oh my God, I couldn't deal with it.
That's really interesting because to me, this song worked a little more too.
I figured it would because you do like a ballad.
And because I felt like it was a more cohesive song versus a lot of the other songs on the album, to the point where I feel like this is like 2nd or 3rd strongest song in the whole album for me.
Interesting.
Which is, again, quite a big split. It's still at a 3.5. Like, it's not, improving on that, I will say, but it still did work better for me.
Yeah.
Than some of the songs, a lot of the songs on this album, which I guess kind of leads us to, the overall album as a whole and what we thought.
for me personally, I don't get how this is one of the best albums of all time. I think this is in
Yeah,
like the
I
top
agree.
100. Like I know other songs by Prince. I've never like been a huge fan of him, but I was expecting good, and this wasn't even good in my opinion. I'll say this again because I have it written down at the end of the album. Just because someone is incredibly talented doesn't mean that they'll make great art. And in my opinion, this is a perfect example. I think Prince, what he's done for music and kind of just like culture in general, is like irreplaceable. There's no one else like him. This just does not work for me as an album and as something that I ever really want to listen to again. So this is a 1.5 out of 5 for me. It was originally a 2, but upon re-listen, I like it less and less.
Yeah.
I think I have the ability to like songs by Prince in the future. I mean, I know the song I Would Die For You, and I think that's a great song, and I've heard it covered multiple times, and it's made me appreciate the original even more. But this
Right.
album just did not have anything for me.
I agree with all of that. As I said before, I have only heard one Prince song outside of 1999, and that is Purple Rain. And that is a song that I do really, really like. And so when I went into this, it wasn't at all what I expected. And that's why, a lot of pretty much all my scores were lower. That being said, you might have noticed that, they were most of them 3s or 3.5s, even though my notes were quite negative. And the reason why they are higher than, some of the scores that I've given to other albums is because I do feel like you can still see the fact that Prince is genuinely really talented and a fantastic artist. I feel like it still does come through, even though I don't like the songs really. And that's what sort of bumped my scores up because I'm like, I can still see why he is so beloved. And maybe just this specific album just isn't for me. Now, I think that, his status is deserved. I think that he is, undeniably a fantastic artist. And like I said before, I do really love Purple Rain, and I'm very interested to see what I think of his other albums. That being said, I think that ultimately this is just not for me. In spite of the fact that I did give things maybe higher scores than I might have given if this wasn't by Prince and if you couldn't see like his artistry or his talent kind of in the songs here and there. So ultimately I did give the whole album a 3 because I feel like you can still see his, his talent in it. But yeah, this is not for me. I didn't connect to it. I didn't like it. If you couldn't see his skill as an artist in this album, it would have been lower. And same thing with the scores for the songs. I think the only thing that kind of bumped it up for me was that. But yeah, it's ultimately a 3 for me.
That's very interesting because I was expecting us to have kind of different things taken away from this album, but we ended up kind of having the same feeling of that we didn't really connect with it and that he's talented, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. In many ways, it feels overindulgent.
Yeah, 100%. Especially with the 8 and 9 minute long songs.
Yeah, exactly. And I think maybe that's why it doesn't work for us.
I was expecting you to have higher scores than me, which you did.
Yeah.
But I was also expecting you to like this a lot more. So I'm very intrigued by the fact that you didn't as much. Like, we have such different backgrounds and we have such different likes in the music that we've covered so far. I mean, we're in agreement some of the time, but then sometimes we'll have something where we're split by like 3 points.
Very radical splits. Yeah.
But I find it interesting that we kind of had the same reaction to this album. So also we should coin the Prince effect, which is when you can see an artist is incredibly talented, but it just doesn't work.
I completely support that.
Okay.
I think that should definitely be added to our lexicon along with the Kesha effect and some other...
The Black Sabbath effect.
Yes, the Black Sabbath effect, exactly. I'm sorry to all the Prince fans. Please don't come after us.
And I don't know if people will say that this isn't the best album to start with or anything like that. Or like you said, that if we
Which
have
I
to,
could see.
Right, yeah. We might have to sit with it more and listen to it more. But honestly, some of these songs feel just like something that I'm never going to enjoy. And I was already starting to feel...
Which I do agree with.
A little bit tortured by Automatic upon second listen. That's 18 minutes of that beat, which it goes for I would say upwards of 95% of the runtime of that song, unchanging.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
But I did want to ask you the question that I don't know if I asked last week, but I'm going to make a note of trying to bring it back, which is, will you be taking away any of these songs from this album / adding any of them to your playlist for regular rotation?
I feel like DMSR got close, but the length of it just keeps it back. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to bring any of these songs into a playlist or, re-listen to them the same way that I do with a lot of other songs or other albums, to be honest. I mean, literally the other day I was re-listening to 3 by Banks,
Oh, nice.
I'm not going to be doing that with this. It just isn't for me, which is ironic because I've also been listening to Purple Rain quite a lot recently. And that is a Prince song that I do re-listen to. But yeah, ultimately nothing here really worked for me like that. Well, let me actually shoot the question back to you, which I feel like I know the answer, but are there any songs that you are going to take away or re-listen to a lot or bring into one of your playlists?
No.
Yeah.
I think the only one that really would have come close is Delirious. But even then, it's not, I don't want to say it's not interesting enough, but I guess for its runtime, it isn't interesting enough.
Yeah.
And it's not able to sustain it. So it's also incredibly catchy, and it's been stuck in my head all day today specifically. And it's starting to get on my nerves a little bit. So no, I will not be, unfortunately. But I will say, I'm glad we listened to this. A few years ago, I wanted to start listening to the Rolling Stones list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. Mm-hmm. And I made it 3 or 4 albums in. And I hated 3 of them, or 2 or 3 of them. And then I only somewhat liked one of them. I remember thinking, I ultimately don't care that much, if this is supposed to be the greatest music ever, then maybe I don't agree with people. And I think that's fine. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I don't think I'm ever going to understand this album, and I'm okay with that. And for the people who get it, great. And I'm glad you do. This is just not something that I want to hear, pretty much.
I think it's important to be okay with something not working. That is just the case sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah, this is my 100 Gex moment, I think.
Exactly.
of the podcast so far.
Even though I kind of joined you in having a second 100 Gex, kind of.
I mean, that's true. Yeah, I think you rated their stuff a lot lower, which I think is fair.
I did, yeah.
And so I feel like that's a little bit more, I guess, of an equal, because I think I was giving these 1.5s and 2s, which is what you were giving. So I think, I don't know. Yeah, I know our scoring is different, but I feel like that's more of a similar reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
We have an 80s classic for a movie too.
Dirty Dancing. So as usual, I am going to start with the IMDb logline, and I want to hear what you think.
And before you do that, I'd just like to say I wish I was dirty dancing with you in person right now. Continue.
Oh man, the images that brings to mind. Anyway, spending the summer at a Catskills resort with her family, Frances, baby houseman, falls in love with the camp's dance instructor, Johnny Castle. What do you think?
That works pretty well for me, I would say. There's definitely they leave out the other storyline.
Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of good, because I didn't even know that was I didn't know the abortion was a whole part of this, and I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't just kind of a surface level thing. It actually explored some emotions. I was impressed.
I will say I see why they left that out, because considering the time this came out.
Yeah. And the time it's set in.
Exactly. I will say that is kind of crucial to the plot of them getting together, though. So I was also kind of surprised that it wasn't there. But directed by Emile Ardolino, produced by Linda Gottlieb, and written by Eleanor Bergstein. Cinematography by Jeffrey Jur, edited by Peter C. Frank. Music by John Morris, Erich Bulling, and John Barnes. And of course, starring Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey. We're going to start with screenwriter Eleanor Bergstein. Eleanor Bergstein grew up dancing. She, even taught dance while she was in college. She had a lot of experience. I don't believe she was ever a pro dancer, but she loved it. She was very, very passionate about it, even as she continued later on in life to become a screenwriter. And she was actually prompted to write this script after a dance scene from another movie that she wrote was cut. And she decided to write a movie where the dance was so important that you literally couldn't cut it.
I like that.
And of course, that turned into Dirty Dancing. And Bergstein actually drew heavily from her own life. She, was the daughter of a Jewish doctor. She spent her youth traveling to the summer resorts of the Borscht Belt region in the Catskill Mountains of upstate New York with her parents, just like the Housemans do in the film. She not only participated in, quote unquote, dirty dancing competitions, but she was also nicknamed Baby.
Oh.
And that's where the name in the movie comes from. I don't know why she was nicknamed Baby. So taking inspiration from her own life, she wrote Dirty Dancing. Now, I don't think that she had like a romance with, an instructor or anything like that.
Or with Patrick Swayze himself.
This is very much influenced by her own life, let's say. She did have some trouble getting the script set up. She got it set up at MGM, then it went into turnaround, which I did explain once. For the audience who might not remember, it means when a production studio doesn't want to produce anything, they can, set it up to be sold. Pretty much someone else can buy it, but they have to pay the expenses that have been spent on the project. Eventually, though, she got together with producer Linda Gottlieb, and they were able to set it up at Restaurant Pictures, which was a very, very small production company. I also did want to say, this film, is produced by a female producer and is written by a female screenwriter, which was honestly very, very uncommon at the time. The industry was very male dominated. Still is, to be honest. I do think that in some ways that this film is kind of pushing the boundaries of, who was writing and producing, and as we will see in a second, directing too. Of course, it is the 80s, so Bergstein was asked if she could cut the abortion storyline from the script. As she pointed out, the movie literally wouldn't work without it. So they moved on with the abortion storyline. Now, both Bergstein and Gottlieb wanted Emile Ardolino, who, although he had never directed a feature film, had directed the dance documentary He Makes Me Feel Like Dancing. So they knew that he knew how to shoot dancing very well. He read it, loved it, and agreed to come on. Now, just as, this film was kind of pushing the boundary by having a producer who was female and a screenwriter who was female, Ardolino was also an openly gay man, which was not that common in the 80s and especially not that common in Hollywood. And he would also sadly pass away from AIDS in the 90s.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, yeah. But before then, he did direct, a lot of great movies such as Dirty Dancing and The Two Sister Acts. The film was greenlit with a budget of $5 million, which was on the lower side, considering that the average at the time was 12. Of course, that's, in today's money, that's more than $5 million. And so they started to go to casting. They did bring on, I should note, choreographer Kenny Ortega, who was trained by Gene Kelly. I think that's why the dancing in the movie looks as good as it does. But from the very beginning of the casting process, Ardolino is adamant that they hire experienced dancers who could also act instead of, getting stand-ins, which is what had been done on films such as Flashdance. Now, for the role of Frances Baby Houseman, I think that they did consider actresses who maybe didn't know how to dance because, Baby doesn't know how to dance at the beginning of the film too. So it would make sense that, she learns throughout the film just as the actress would learn. Some people that were considered were Winona Ryder and Sarah Jessica Parker.
I've heard of these people.
Finally, someone you've heard of when we're talking about a film. But everything changed the moment Jennifer Grey auditioned. They realized that she was perfect for the role because Grey was actually pushed into the audition by her father, Joel Grey, who was a famous actor, singer, and dancer, mainly known for Cabaret, which we will watch at some point. And the reason why they realized that she was perfect was when she was coming into the room telling her father, "Wish me luck, Daddy," she encapsulated Baby's struggle between being a doting daughter and her own woman in their eyes, which I thought was very interesting. Grey, who was nervous, nevertheless told everyone in the room that, quote, "I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I'd be terrific for this role," and then proceeded to dance wildly to Jackson 5 and got the part, which I did love.
Nice.
Now, casting Johnny Castle proved to be more difficult because, again, as Ardolino said, he wanted someone who could dance. The logical choice was, of course, Patrick Swayze. Now, he was actually the son of dancer, choreographer, and instructor Patsy Swayze. So he grew up dancing under his mom's tutelage.
Did not know this.
I could totally see him having gone pro if not for a knee injury from a high school football game, ended all his chances of professional dancing, which kind of was one of the steps, like one of the points that kind of led him to acting later. That being said, it seems like some other actors were considered, including Billy Zane, but he reportedly didn't have the desired chemistry with Gray and couldn't dance well. But some other actors who were considered were Val Kilmer and Benicio del Toro.
I've heard of those too.
There we go. We have a win. You've heard of them. Finally, of course, focus shifted to Swayze, and everyone, realized how perfect he was for the role. He's not only an exceptional dancer, he is a really good actor. There were two problems, though. Because of his knee injury, Swayze had a no dancing stipulation. That was problem number one. And even worse, Jennifer Grey hated him.
Oh.
Turns out they had acted in a movie together. They had acted together in 1984's Red Dawn, and Grey had a bad experience with Swayze because he would constantly play pranks on her. So, upon hearing that Swayze was being considered, she said she would not do the film if he was cast. Now, Swayze, even though he had this no dance rule, liked the script. He liked the character of Johnny. And so he apologized to Grey for his behavior to the point that he started to cry, which resulted in Grey crying. And so she agreed to do the dancing screen test with him. And when they did it, everyone was in awe of their chemistry. Bergstein literally called it breathtaking. And so they both signed on, and Grey seemed to get over her inhibitions. Now, Grey, who was supposed to be 18 years old, I believe, was actually 26. And Swayze was a whole 10 years older than his character at age 34.
I was going to say, I could tell he was in his 30s.
You could tell that he's definitely not in his 20s. I mean, I will say their chemistry in the film is undeniable. You can see why they were chosen. Now, filming took place in September. It started in September, I should say. It took place in Virginia and North Carolina, not New York, interestingly enough. And it lasted just 43 days. That being said, the film did have to deal with terrible weather. When production began, the outside temperature could reach 105 degrees Fahrenheit. And with the hot movie lights, the inside temperature could reach 120.
Yeah, and it's that disgusting, humid heat, too.
Yes. I mean, one day, 10 people reportedly passed out in the span of 25 minutes. 25 minutes. That's not even over the whole day.
That's rough.
There were also injuries on set. Patrick Swayze, who is a crazy, wild man in the sense that he loves physical action like dance, was bent on doing his own stunts, including the scene where they're balancing on the giant tree log. The problem is, he repeatedly fell off and injured his knee so badly that he had to be rushed to the hospital to have it drained from swelling. And for the rest of production, it hurt him really, really bad, including in all the scenes where he's dancing. So that was that caused him a lot of pain during the production. They also ran into another problem because it pushed the production into autumn. So the crew literally had to spray paint leaves green to make it look like summer. And the weather got so cold that in the scene where, Swayze and Grey are practicing the lift on the lake, the water was 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why in the final film, you only see them from a distance, because if you got any closer, you could see them shivering and, covered in goosebumps. Their relationship also reportedly kind of started to get worse again during production. But thankfully, Bergstein and Ardolino were come here, watch your screen test again to see how well you guys are together on screen. It worked, and they seemed to get on well afterwards. A lot of filming was also a party, because reportedly every single dance rehearsal spiraled into a disco party with drinking, which, sounds kind of hectic, but at the same time, it seems that it did allow everyone to get really comfortable with each other and allow natural moments to be improvised, because improvising was a very common occurrence. This includes the scene where Swayze and Grey kind of lip sync to the song and crawl towards each other. they were messing around, but Ardolino liked it, so they kept it in the final film. A lot of the montage, I believe, of Gray kind of practicing her steps and, putting on lipstick, stuff like that. A lot of that, I believe, were candid moments that Ardolino kind of caught of Gray in between shots. So a lot of those are just her being her and just waiting for the shot to start, which I thought was kind of genius because it feels so natural. Of course, the most famous example of improvisation is the scene where Gray and Swayze are practicing the opening of the dance number, where she has her arm around his head and he brings his arm down, like past her, what's this called?
Breast?
No, right here.
Armpit?
Like, yes, past her armpit. I forgot what it was called. Anyways, Gray, who was exhausted at this point, felt ticklish at Swayze's hand brushing her armpit and could not stop laughing. So they had to do take after take, but Ardolino liked these takes so much that he just kept them in the final film. So Swayze's annoyance in those scenes, like in those different takes, is real. He was actually getting super annoyed that they had to do it again and again. We have mentioned Seinfeld before in this episode, which is ironic because Wayne Knight is in this.
I was going to say Newman.
Yeah, exactly. Newman is in this. This was his big break and was kind of responsible for getting him cast in Seinfeld.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, because they were like, oh my God, he's really funny. We should have him in Seinfeld, which I thought was fun. Cynthia Rhodes, who plays Penny, who was actually the first person cast, actually had to have a lot of makeup applied in the scene where she is in pain after the abortion because she reportedly looked too beautiful to be in so much pain, which I will say she does look really beautiful. Another important note, Swayze also hated the line, "Nobody puts baby in the corner." And in fact, he had trouble saying it with a straight face. He was finally obviously able to muster up enough something to say it how it is in the film, but he hated that line, which I think is ironic considering how iconic that line is. Like, that's the line that everyone knows. My last note about production, the one successful lift at the end of the movie is the first and only lift that Gray and Swayze successfully got during all of filming.
Nice.
Which I think is just perfect, and I think that's a perfect note to end production on. While production, had its hiccups, it still went pretty smoothly, and post-production did too. And now it's time to talk about the music, because obviously the music is very important for the film. Now, of course, the movie does use a lot of songs from the 60s, but there are also songs that are written for the film. Frankie Previtt, who was the lead singer of the band Frankie and the Knockouts, was asked to compose songs for the film. But he turned it down because he thought the film was a porno from the title. Of course, the mistake was cleared up and he came on board and wrote songs for the film such as Hungry Eyes, which was co-written with John DeNicola and produced / sung by Eric Carmen, and I've Had the Time of My Life, co-written with John DeNicola and Donald Markowitz and produced by Michael Lloyd. Of course, that song is famously performed by Bill Medley and Jennifer Warnes for the film. But of course, Patrick Swayze wasn't capable of just being a great actor, dancer, and charisma machine. He also decided that he was going to bring in a demo of a song he wrote, and everyone liked it so much that they re-recorded it professionally and included it in the film, and it's the song She's Like the Wind, which he co-wrote with Stacey Woodlitz and performed with Wendy Frazier featuring. I did want to say Michael Lloyd also produced that song. Did you know that that song was written by him? I mean, it's kind of obvious he's singing it, but
I did not know that.
what can that man not do, pretty much? When the rough cut was showed to the executives, they all thought that would flop. They did not like it. Of course, this is a rough cut that wasn't finished. I don't think you should judge any film on the rough cut, but they still hated it. And producer Aaron Russo actually said, burn the negative and collect the insurance.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. But when it was released on August 21st, 1987, it became unstoppable. Now, I couldn't find an exact number because I saw two. And that was that it goes in between, or either, I guess I should say, $170 to $213 million off of a $5 million production, which is crazy.
I would say that's a success.
It was also incredibly successful as, a DVD, or I guess at that time it would be a VHS rental. And even though the critics kind of gave it a more mixed reception, people went crazy for the film, for lack of a better word. A lot of people would go multiple times to the theater, and a lot of the biggest fans were adults instead of teens, which is the people who they thought would gravitate towards the film. And that continued into, it being released as a rental and the release of its soundtrack, which was a very big hit, especially I've Had the Time of My Life. The film now is seen as a classic. It's seen as an iconic film of the 80s. The critical reception has certainly grown. And not only did the film bring an important issue to the screen, abortion, which at the time was considered very, very taboo. And I mean, honestly, now it's kind of become controversial, which is crazy considering that, it's 1925 or 2025 and people...
1925.
Yeah, it's 1925, guys.
I mean, but it might as well be at this point.
It might as well be, yes, which I believe makes this film even more important. But the film also catapulted its two central leads into being stars. Patrick Swayze, of course, went on to have a crazy career, a very illustrious career. He went on to make Ghost and Point Break and a lot of these movies before tragically dying from cancer in 2005 at the age of 57. And Jennifer Grey disappeared. I want to just end with something that I feel like is a very important subject to talk about. Before I do that, I want to ask, do you know what else Jennifer Grey has been in?
No, and I didn't even know who she was until watching this.
I would say she's mainly known for this and Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, okay. Well, I've seen that. I guess I didn't realize she was in it.
She wasn't that. She plays the sister. And those two movies, I think they released one year after another, kind of catapulted her up. But it's kind of interesting that her career kind of died after Dirty Dancing, and there is kind of a reason why. So let me end on kind of on a different note. But pretty much, let's go back to a year before she was cast in Dirty Dancing. Grey wasn't getting the part she wanted, and this is when she got advice from her mother that she should make herself look more castable, i.e., she should get a nose job to make her nose more quote-unquote normal. She, of course, continued to be in Dirty Dancing, and she didn't get a nose job before the film, but the pressure continued because even after she, became very well known for this film, she still felt like she wasn't getting the part she wanted. This wasn't helped by the infamous car accident she was in with her then boyfriend, Matthew Broderick, where I believe they crashed into another car, which resulted in the death of Anna Gallagher and Margaret Doherty. Now, obviously this didn't lead her to eventually go get a rhinoplasty, but this was, I could see how this maybe influenced something in her thinking. Because even though she was very anti-rhinoplasty growing up, she gave in and had a nose job. After her nose job, she continued on with acting, but she noticed an issue with her nose. Now, she, got a nose job, but she didn't want to change it a lot. She just wanted to maybe fix something here, something there, but she wanted to keep it minimal. But after she noticed this issue, she had to go get a second nose job. It was far more extensive than she had imagined or wanted, to the point that her appearance had changed so much that she became literally unrecognizable, including when she would walk down red carpets or walk up to friends. Michael Douglas reportedly did not recognize her, and he was a friend of hers. And as she had written, it seemed that I had committed an unforgivable crime, willfully stripping away the only thing that had made me special. Now, I don't think that that's the only thing that made her special, but I do think that, you could maybe say in some way she had a very distinct look, and having a nose job maybe took some of that away. But in any case, overnight, her whole identity and career vanished. And while she has continued working, she never reached the heights that she achieved with Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Dirty Dancing. Now, I just felt like this was important to bring up, not because I want to take something that someone has gone through and air it out or anything like that, but because I think it's important to take a look at what the pressure of conforming to what people think is beautiful can lead to, and the pressure of looking young and fitting in with, the idea that you have to look a certain way to be beautiful, what that can do to someone.
The Kardashian effect, if you will.
Exactly. The Kardashian effect and
To
how
bring up an Armenian.
she's not Armenian. But anyway, sorry, but she's not. But the reason why I did want to end with the story is because I feel that it's important to remind people that just because you might look a little different, i.e., the shape of your nose might look different, doesn't mean that you can't achieve being a star, which she did. And I find it kind of crazy that, she still felt the pressure to get that nose job, because I do think that it's very real that, a lot of women do feel that pressure.
Yeah.
Which I think is very unfortunate. So that's why I did want to end my notes with that story.
Yeah. Don't succumb to Hollywood, basically.
Yes.
They don't know anything.
Don't succumb to Hollywood. Exactly. They don't know anything, but they think they do.
They don't know anything except for the fact that you are not beautiful as you are.
Yes, exactly. But now, to go to a lighter note, I want to hear what you thought of this movie.
Patrick Swayze is so hot.
Yes. Before we go to that, though, I did want to ask, had you never seen this film before?
I have never seen this film before.
Is your mom, by chance, a fan of this? Or your dad, or, any one of your family that was raised in the 80s?
My dad hates this.
Whoa.
Because he doesn't like Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
I don't know why he just told me that he hates Patrick Swayze. As far as I know, my mom likes this film, but she hasn't really said anything. I know my sister likes it. I don't know why I haven't seen it before, probably because I didn't care about it and also didn't think it would be good.
Right. Now, the reason I did ask is because obviously this is beloved by a lot of people that grew up in the 80s.
Yes.
And it's, seen as a iconic film of the 80s. But let me know, tell me, what did you think?
This was way better than I thought it would be. I had very low expectations going into it. And I don't know if some of that is just because I guess you could say this is kind of a chick flick, and that generally has a negative connotation. Even if I don't necessarily think it does, it's been built up throughout my life. Mm-hmm. And, we live in a patriarchy. So
that's definitely the way that chick flicks have been portrayed. And that's definitely the way that the term chick flick has been applied to movies.
But this was good. I was impressed. I mean, I'll tell you my score right now. It's a 3. I was entertained. Mm-hmm. I felt the emotion, especially when she was confronting her dad on the porch.
Yeah.
You can tell he's emotional. I thought also he was a very good actor. I will say.
Yeah. Jerry Orbach, veteran actor, incredible actor. Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought this was good. I did not know anything about the abortion. I didn't know there was going to be actual serious subjects portrayed in this.
Yeah.
I thought they did a really good job of capturing the kind of weirdly messy interconnected relationships of working at a place with people that are all your same age.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it definitely had restaurant vibes.
Oh yeah.
This was good. I liked it. I'm surprised.
I completely agree. To give you my background with this film, I grew up watching this film because, this is a film that my parents love, or at least my mom loves. I think my dad likes it too. He just doesn't pay attention to movies that much. So my grandmother, my mom, they would watch it all the time. It's, something that I've seen quite a few times, something that I grew up with. That being said, I think the reason why I do like this film so much isn't because I know it very well or I grew up with it. I do genuinely think that this is a very good film. I think it became as iconic as it did for a reason, because it is, first of all, very fun to watch. I think the dancing is done very, very well, especially the dirty dancing. I feel like it's one of those movies where you watch it and you're like, I want to do that. And then you think about it and you're like, wait a second, I could never do that. I do feel like it's very much one of those films.
I don't know. I feel like I could. I used to dance,
for
context.
Because you used to dance. You could. Yeah. I could not. I could never do that. But I think it is deeper than that. It isn't as surface level as you might think it would be, or as surface level as it could have been.
Or as it's portrayed, I guess, by people who don't like this.
Yes, exactly. Because it does talk about, very heavy subjects such as abortion. And I do think that it's like characters are more developed than you might find in a lot of, similar films.
I agree.
On top of that, I just gotta say, not only are both Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze hot, but they do have like crazy chemistry with each other.
Very true.
Like crazy chemistry. That and the dancing are the two things that make this film as like successful as it is, Obviously the script is also good, but those two things together I feel like make this film.
100%. And I can't believe I didn't immediately say that the dancing was really good.
I'm surprised.
Somehow completely forgot about that. It's so well shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's so well choreographed.
Yep.
They use the space so well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's such an integral part of the movie.
Absolutely.
And it's treated as one too, which thank God.
You can tell that Bergstein cared about it.
Yes.
So much. And you can tell, you can see why they chose Ardolino because it is so well shot.
My biggest complaint as well, when being a former dancer, and I can spot a fake dancer immediately. And so many times there are just actors who are good at acting and maybe good at singing as well. And then they get them up there dancing and they suck. And it's obvious. And you're just trying to pretend that it isn't. And in this case, it's like, wow, these people can actually dance. And that was one of the best parts of it because it was the dancing was treated. Yeah, it was treated like it was actually an important part of this film because it is.
Absolutely.
So that's my message to Hollywood as well. Is if you're going to cast people dancing, please cast people who can dance.
I don't think we have a Patrick Swayze right now. Someone that can, or maybe we do. Someone up.
Not Benson Boone?
Are you kidding me? That man can barely sing.
Oh, no, he can sing.
No, okay, he can sing.
He can sing well, and he can flip. So,
yeah.
What more do you want?
No, but I was pretty much going to lead to I completely agree. I also did want to say that Patrick Swayze's brother said that he even toned down his skill as a dancer for the film. He can dance even better than that, which is kind of crazy.
Being the kid of a choreographer, yeah.
But yeah, you can absolutely tell that these are people that know how to dance. Even if they're not professional dancers, they know how to dance. And I think that's why it works so well. I think that's also why it's so fun to rewatch. You can tell why people rewatch this so much. And that's because of the fact that there's so much amazing dancing in it, and it captivates you. It brings you into the film.
And I also want to say it does have a Hollywood ending.
It does.
Which obviously most Hollywood movies are going to have a Hollywood ending.
Yes,
but
exactly.
It doesn't feel like cheating, in my opinion. It feels like...
It doesn't feel forced.
Right, it feels earned because we go through these kind of darker moments. And I think that's why it's so rewatchable, is because it does have these darker moments, but everything is okay in the end. Even if life isn't like that, and it isn't.
Exactly.
It's still kind of in a way, a feel-good story of Penny's still able to kind of move on with her life and...
Yeah.
It's not like it's not going to affect her, but it's of the bad situation she's in, she gets the best outcome, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Now, I realize I didn't say my score, but this is a 4 for me.
That's what I guessed in my head.
Yes, exactly. I didn't even guess anything for you because at this point I never know.
I'm full of surprises.
But yeah, this is, as I said before, I think this is a great film. It's endlessly rewatchable. It's not it's not going to win Best Picture, but it's also not trying to. It's having fun, and it's bringing more to the film than what could have been. And I think that's very commendable.
It knows it's entertaining, and it doesn't try to stray away from being entertaining, and that's good. That's that's what I like.
That is good. So I guess on this more positive note to the episode, after perhaps a more negative beginning.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. Hey, we have to listen. We had to listen to 1999 at some point. Plus, I brought in a lot of movies that you've hated. So there we go.
I haven't. I've only hated 2 of them. Okay,
maybe disliked, for lack of a better.
I've only disliked 2.
Okay.
There have only been 2 times I've been sub 2.5 on here, and 2.5 for me is average, which means it's not bad. So
then I'll say I have brought films that you've been on too.
Yeah.
So
which is fine. That's good.
So there we go.
I'm watching things that I have to watch, I'm I'm catching up on years.
The reason why I'm saying that is it's also good for you to bring in things that I'm also on. So there we go.
In this instance, I did not know that I would also be on it.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. Neither of us knew what to expect.
yeah,
But hey, that's life.
that is life. And that's Uncultured Pop Culture Podcast.
Exactly. Because what is life but uncultured pop culture?
Exactly. What is life but pretending you know things about things that you've never watched or listened to, which has been many years of my life.
Exactly.
Because, people will say, oh, yeah, you know Dirty Dancing. It's like, yeah, they dance. Patrick Swayze, of course. There's an abortion in it? Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Exactly.
Now I know.
Dakota famous man. What can I say?
Yes, and that famous man being you.
I guess I should say Dakota not famous man. What can I say?
You're famous. You have an Instagram, and you have a Rate Your Music, and you have a Letterboxd, which are all places that you can find both of us. Ooh.
Exactly. If you go to our link tree in the description or on our Instagram, where, incidentally, we will also announce future episodes a week before they come out on every Sunday.
Which means that you have to be following us if you want to keep track of what we're going to be covering next week. And I know you want to, so you can be caught up with everything that we are watching and listening to.
Especially if you want to maybe write us a message to our email, upcpod@gmail.com, whether it's because you want to say how good of a job we're doing or that we suck. Either way.
And I know we talk about Spotify a lot. That's because we use them to distribute, and that's what we both use to stream. But leave us a 5-star review on Spotify or on whatever podcast app you're listening to, because that helps us the most out of anything. So
100%.
thank you so much for listening. And
why don't you go and dirty dance yourself?
exactly, I know we will be doing it, and we will be fantasizing about each other the entire time.
Exactly.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.